In Southern California, communities like Baldwin Park and Irwindale are struggling with hazardous working conditions that put their health at serious risk. These communities are home to toxic jobs in factories and warehouses where workers face exposure to dangerous chemicals and pollutants. These jobs, often low-paying and unstable, disproportionately impact people of color, particularly the Latino and immigrant populations. The health consequences are severe, including respiratory diseases, cancers, and other chronic illnesses. At a gravel and sand factory in Irwindale, workers endure constant exposure to toxic dust from crushed rock and sand, chemicals used in processing, and exhaust fumes from diesel trucks. The air is thick with dust, and many workers are forced to wear masks to shield themselves from harmful particles. Despite these dangerous conditions, these workers often lacked adequate protective gear, and the factories rarely take measures to reduce their exposure to these pollutants. The issue isn't just about pollution, it's about who bears the burden of environmental harm. Workers in Baldwin Park and Irwindale, many of whom are Latino, are suffering the consequences of toxic workplaces and industrial pollution. Baldwin Park, with a population of 68,806, is a working-class city in Los Angeles County. Here, 72.8% of the population is Hispanic, and the community faces a median household income of $76,002, slightly lower than the California average. Just a short distance away is Irwindale, a much smaller city with only 1,426 residents. Irwindale's population is overwhelmingly Hispanic. At 91.5%, the median household income is higher, at $101,181. Despite the higher income, both cities are similarly burdened by industrial pollution and hazardous workplaces. While Baldwin Park is larger, both cities share the same environmental challenges. Despite their differences in population and income, these communities suffer from being located in close proximity to industrial zones where factories, warehouses, and cement plants release harmful pollutants into the air and water. These hazardous workplaces are not just a matter of inconvenience, they are dangerous to people's health. Toxic dust from cement factories, exhaust fumes from diesel trucks, and chemicals released into the air cause severe respiratory issues, asthma, cancers, and other diseases. The gravel and sand factory in Irwindale is just one example of how workers are exposed to these hazards on a daily basis. The factory's operations release a fine dust that blankets the surrounding neighborhoods and settles on nearby homes, cars, and businesses. This dust can easily be inhaled, leading to long-term respiratory issues like asthma and lung diseases. For the workers inside the factory, the constant exposure to these harmful particles increase the risk of serious health issues such as lung cancer and silicosis, a fatal lung disease caused by inhaling fine dust particles. As What is Critical Environmental Justice explains, environmental harm is not accidental. It is often a result of racial and economic inequality, where poor communities and communities of color are subjected to higher levels of pollution because they lack the resources to fight back. The people here are being sacrificed for the profits of large corporations. Poverty plays a major role in why these toxic industries are located in Baldwin Park and Irwindale. Both cities are working class, and because they lack political power and resources, they are often seen as acceptable places to build polluting factories and warehouses. These communities are considered sacrifice zones, places where industry's profits come before the well-being of residents. In Baldwin Park, with a median household income of $76,002, and Irwindale, where the median income is slightly higher at $101,181, the residents have limited political power to fight back against these industries. As a result, they continue to live in proximity to factories that pollute the air, water, and land. But despite these challenges, Baldwin Park and Irwindale residents are organizing for change. Local activists, alongside workers, are fighting for safer jobs and cleaner environments. They are pushing back against the corporations that profit from polluting their neighborhoods, demanding stricter regulations and enforcement of air and water quality standards. In Irwindale, Workers at the gravel and sand factory are demanding better protective measures to shield themselves from harmful dust exposure. They're calling for stricter enforcement of workplace safety regulations and better monitoring of air quality around industrial areas. Environmental justice activists in these cities are drawing attention to the disproportionate health impacts faced by their communities. They are calling for better workplace protections, cleaner air, and the enforcement of environmental laws that hold corporations accountable. As the principles of environmental justice from the 1991 National People of Color Environmental Leadership Summit state, communities of color have the right to control the decisions that impact their environment and their health. Baldwin Park and Irwindale are fighting for that right. Now it's time for all of us to take action. To support Baldwin Park and Irwindale, get involved with local environmental justice organizations that are fighting for workers' rights and better environmental policies. Attend city council meetings, speak up about the dangers of the industrial pollution, and push for stronger protections for the workers in hazardous jobs. You can also support these efforts by educating yourself about the issues, speaking out in your community, and advocating for stronger regulations to protect people from harmful industrial practices. Every voice matters, and together we can demand safer jobs and cleaner air for these communities. The fight for environmental justice in Baldwin Park and Irwindale is far from over, but with the efforts of the community members and activists, change is possible. Together we can create safer, healthier environments for all. It's time to stand up for those who have been left behind.